Hello and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the improvisational storytelling podcast, where every week we craft stories like a spider crafts a web. That's some story. I am, of course, Levi.
I'm Reed.
And I'm Seth.
Did you guys get my subtle reference there?
I'm a great fan of Charlotte's Web, and that was some pig.
Yep. We are here to bring you
He's humble, radiant, thingamajingamapig.
We are here to bring you episode 2 of this current thing called a podcast. I'm trying to get to the place that I have the title. The hero or villain of the ages. In this story, last week, we drew a couple of story elements, as is our standard modus operandi. I am just ready and on it, guys. We drew government type, prophecy, and beginning scene. Beginning scene was a really interesting one. It was a game. It was we'll start with the government type because that's where I started, and that kind of helps set up the beginning scene. So the government type was kind of based on a book I was reading, which is the Dune series. And the government type is a total dictatorship led by a philosophical genius who is trying to save humanity from killing itself by exerting really forceful control on everyone to teach them a lesson about tyranny. He's trying to force tyranny on them to teach them a lesson about it, to get them to rebel against him, and then hopefully they will never suffer tyrannical leaders again. That's kind of the long and short of it. The beginning scene is a game, kind of like baseball, where, Seth, explain it to me again.
So kind of in like a lot of ball games, right? And I'm thinking, we're American, so I'm thinking good old American ball games like, American football or baseball. None of this, okay, I can't say that because I do like to play soccer. But, right, and they'll be like, they'll call their plays, right? They'll have a, like, hand sign. So, like, from the pitcher to the catcher, they'll be like, throw a fastball, throw the curveball, or like certain parts of the play, I would assume, like in football, right? Like he'll kind of call out like some obscure things like, red 42, green trim, blue house, hut hike, right? And so it's like calling out like different plays or giving the motions, which is all part of like, that's just what you do, right? You've got to pass the information on.
Yeah.
With how you do to say, do this move, do that move, try to steal a base, go to the left field, for a forward pass, whatever it is, so that you can communicate by, the hand motion, or the
It's like a
phrase.
battle language. It's like maiden like hand talk language from Wheel of Time.
And so that's what these people are doing. A lot of the teams for whatever ball game this is would be like the ex-militaries or ex kind of different units from these other governments and stuff. And that's kind of their ticket in this totalitarian like system to go from town to town, right? To kind of have this nationalized sports game, right, that everyone goes to. And that's what you do,
Bread
right?
Circus,
it's the patriotic.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. And so they are passing, that's like the resistance of some sort, right? And so then that's how they're passing information from town to town, to the different groups, is through their, battle language of how they're going to make the next play. And if you know what the code is, then, they're making the play. So like an onlooker might be like, man, they were doing good, but then why did he go way left field, like right into where everyone sacked him, or, stole a base when he shouldn't, like, they threw the game, right? Well, what if that throwing the game was the message, that, whoever on the other team or in the stands would understand what information was being passed along, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's the...
And part of my thought behind that was that maybe this is like, since peace has been kind of forced on the whole world, maybe this is like what the tyrant has given them to perform like war. It's like this is competition. This is how you have competition between countries and things. And so that's why the military has devolved into sports teams.
Yeah, we have to remind if you didn't check out if you didn't see hear the first episode, you should go and check it out. But the backdrop here is that part of the emperor's tyranny is just shutting down travel and commerce. There's no vehicles. You're not allowed. So each community has to be self-sufficient, and this sporting culture is like the only it's the only kind of commerce between people groups.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that kind of gives it a dynamic that intensifies the whole sports mania thing.
Right.
Okay, I've got the ball game. I was just thinking of this. It is both football and baseball. So the way it works is it's like a football type ball, right? Except there is a batter, right? So you have the pitcher's mound, and like the opposing team is like at the bases, and they might have like the out, like a left field and a right field. But then the other people on the batter's team are like farther out in field, right? And so the pitcher, instead of throwing the ball, he kicks it, much like they would in football where they have the kickoff, right? And so he has to kick this ball where then the playing team has to hit it like the baseball, right, for one of their teammates out in the field to catch and then make it to one of the bases, right? So if you catch it, you could get to third base first, right?
Okay. And then if you get tackled.
And so then they have to make it back. So it's got like the diamond, right? And you have to make it back to home. But then the batter, he's not running. He has to try to kick it out. But if the opposing team catches it, right, then you get the out. And then it's like you have so many outs or tries, like the downs, right? You have to get forward to certain things. And if you don't make it to one of the bases, but maybe there's 4 bases, right? Like the 4 downs and then, right, instead of 3.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a strategy if you already have a guy, that can then, but then once you make it to the base, once the ball is in play, you can then like continue on the base.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's infielders and there's outfielders. Like there's outfielders, people who only play in the outfield, and those guys tend to be both the like big strong guys, like the big burly guys to knock other people down, but they try to protect the smaller fast guys who will get the ball and then try to get on base as soon as possible without getting tackled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I want to play this game. This sounds really fun.
We've just invented a new game, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways.
And then maybe, okay,
what's
yeah, no, I just, all these ideas for this game
what's
are just
everyone's story element?
I didn't throw out the prophecy.
Oh,
what's the prophecy
was the prophecy
right.
again? Well, I don't know. It's your element.
I know.
I didn't remember it, so I was going to kind of skim over it. But.
Yeah. The emperor knows about the prophecy, and so it's
I think
like
it was some
it's
anti-tyranny thing.
Yeah, the prophecy is that the casting out of authority, the emperor has introduced a level of cruelty, I wrote down, that makes rebellion inevitable, and by placing rebels in power. Oh, that was it. You brought in this part that he has kind of chosen rebellious types and put them in positions in the hierarchy. So they will kind of be
always be. It's so that they'll always be questioning authority, and it's people who always have rebelled against him and his tyranny specifically because he wants them to never sort of default to just trusting. And people who are honest. Mm-hmm. It's people who aren't honest that you don't want in authority. It's people who are honest, who are willing to buck authority and possibly die, that you do want in authority. So what story elements did you guys have for today, though?
I have Ka-tet members.
I have villain.
I have wise old woman. Does anyone have any other interesting world building they want to bring to this?
I mean, I'll have to write down this game because my mind is going at this now. It'll be the American sport.
You're right.
In 50 years, everyone will be playing
bat ball foot.
Okay.
Foot, foot base ball.
Based football.
Or something.
What the cool kids play.
Based football.
Yeah. So I'll talk about mine. Her name is Gretchen.
Okay.
And she is one of the things that happened because of the tyrannical rule of the tyrant which is kind of an unfortunate thing, is in the first couple of years is there was a bit of kind of enforced famine as he decided he needed to come down the cruelest at the beginning, right? So when I say enforced famine, there was in fact enough food, but a lot of fields were burned and people were kind of put to the brink of starvation, right? Because the first couple of years, there was some rebellion, there was some kind of, rebel groups he had to deal with and contend with. And because of that, a lot, and this is partially by his design, a lot of elderly people died, right? There was a giant kind of swath as he attempted to kind of erase the past a little bit. People who don't know about how things used to be can't really say remember the good old days when like there wasn't famine and I could like travel to the next town over,
Right.
So Gretchen somehow survived this time. She has just recently come out of the swamps to the south. She's come out. She travels wherever she wants. She doesn't pay no attention to no travel restrictions. She's got I imagine this town, this kind of country connected by rivers and waterways and things. She's got like a longboat, with an old donkey that sits on the longboat if she needs to go upriver,
13 years on the Erie Canal.
And she's old, and she is kind of like your picture of like an old swamp witch, But when you get close to her, you see that a lot of it is guck and grime and makeup put on, to be kind of as much of it is an act. Some of it is not. She is old, but when you get close to her, you see the rings and the gold that she wears, the sigils that allow her to pass by guard booths and things. She is, in fact, the tyrant's grandmother. And the only reason why she's still alive and moving around at all is because she's the tyrant's grandmother. So she was not involved in his psychological training, his conditioning, his the way he learned philosophy and things like that. She taught him kind of the old things, the old twisting of roots, the old ways of medicine and herbs and things like that. And she, I imagine, will need to be hunted down. The rebellion wants to get a hold of her. Some parts of them want to interrogate her to find out, because part of it is conditioning, right? People have tried to poison him dozens of times, but he seems to be just immune to all poisons. And they know that the witch of his grandmother, apparently, inoculated him with all sorts of strange chemicals that gave him crazy powers. And, myths grow, and they want to find out how they can kill him. Some of them want to just kill her to hurt him, and some of them want to try and use her as ransom, to force the tyrant into some state of weakness by holding on to her. But she's a slippery one. She comes into a town, and she'll come into a town, moor her boat on the side of the canal, and then because people have been these 10 or 20 years or 40 years or however long without sort of new interactions, they always come to her, It's like even if they already have an herbologist who might be even better than her, isn't, but might be, they always come to her. So stories of her and what she's done for people are constantly growing because she's always there, The tyrant, I would say, is afraid of her, He doesn't know what it means that she's come back from wherever she went, So that's the wise old woman. I suppose she's wise.
Yeah.
More of an old woman than a wise old woman, but she's wise. But she's not necessarily, I wouldn't see her as like, she doesn't hate the tyrant. She's just like a force of nature, So she's going to do what she's...
Who are you who's so wise in the way of old women?
What? What are you quoting?
It's the Holy Grail. Like, who are you who's so wise in the ways of science?
Oh, okay.
I am Arthur, King of the Britons. Anyways, sorry.
No, it's okay. So yeah,
I got stuck on the old song Hattie's Shack. You know, the who is the swamp witch, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, but their plans got shackled by the howls and the cackles from the bowels of the Black Bayou.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was singing The Witch of the Westmoreland as well.
Okay.
But that one's, that witch is kind of beautiful. But anyways.
All right. Do you want me to tell the villain or?
Yeah, tell the villain. Let's hear the villain.
Okay. The villain is not the tyrant.
Complacency.
No, the villain is his name is Terrence. I don't know if our tyrant has a name, but I don't know. Terrence comes to mind. Terrence is our villain, and he kind of sees what's going on, right? He sees that, and maybe he's someone that is in some of the hierarchy of things, right? But he sees or catches that the rest of the people in that kind of, they're a rebel, they get put in this thing, and over time he's realized that it's like, oh, he's trying to get us to incite and put an end to this. Why would I want that when really what I want is I want to have that position? Right? So it's like, no. I want to perform a coup, and maybe that's what originally got him there, right? Gets these people behind him, we shouldn't have him, much like, if, all these like revolutions of the revolutionary era, right? That kind of ended in, oh, down with the king, and then a different tyrant was installed, right?
Right.
It's like, yeah, so you just didn't want that king. You wanted to be king, right? But they'll tell the people, oh, you're oppressed, and I'll make it fair and even, and we'll have equality with, peace and brotherhood and, the rule of science or whatever it is, because, enlightenment and, right? But ultimately what it turns out to be is I want to be in power, so I'll get the lower class to oust the upper class, and then I'll take power, and then I'll be the upper class.
Right.
And that's his mentality. And so at first, in some of the things that got him put in one of the positions as a rebel, as someone that, was loved by the people to, throw off tyranny.
Yeah.
But as it would be, he just wants to be he wants to be in control of it. It's like, oh, it's been solidified. Well, I want that, right? If I can oust him, then I'll get rid of the rest of the rebels. I'll clinch down my power because it's already in place, right? All I have to do is find a way to oust him. So maybe he's been trying to poison him. He's got some plot going to basically oust the current tyrant so that he can take the place. And now that he has found himself inside of that government circle, realizing that this is the mentality where it's kind of being drawn for these people to rise up, take out the tyrant, and let's say redivvy the world up, right, out of tyranny. He doesn't want that. He just wants to step into the place of the tyrant.
Cool. That's a good villain. Icky. Is he a little sly?
But yeah, obviously, completely presenting, the one thing, but it's like in his heart, like, right, because obviously he got into this position, right, and he's got everybody duped that, like, he's for the people and, against, like, this tyranny and all this stuff, but, like, deep down, really that's his motive, and he's hidden it very well as he is snaking his way through the marble halls, as it would be, playing the old game of houses.
And maybe there's even the fact that at the beginning he was kind of hiding it from himself. It's like that old adage. It's like, well, communism failed in China with 20 million people dead. 60 million people dead because they just didn't do it right.
Yeah, that wasn't real communism.
It's like, it's that in that same way. It's like, yeah, the tyrant, he's unsuccessful, but if we could like just do this, and obviously someone would need to have the like ultimate control like the tyrant has in order to accomplish this. We could just do this thing and that thing, but he's kidding himself, because the reality is that what he wants is the ability to make that all the ultimate decisions all to himself.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Oh, okay. I drew Ka-tet members, so we've got 3 people that were drawn together by fate, as you will, by destiny, and kind of the lead character in the Ka-tet is a guy named Trevor, and he is physically beautiful. He is just built. Physically fit. He's got a great physique. He is and just a superlative athlete. He's one of the players on the game. He is a star. He is the guy that can make the play, and he is capable of incredible physical feats, and he is fanatical about his training, and he's like, in this world where this starved for any kind of interaction, this sports business has really taken off.
Yeah.
And Trevor is kind of the hero star. He is the one that everybody talks about, and kids emulate, and he's canonized in the culture. And during the hard times, he grew up in a place where where survival was the issue, and he as a kid, he was very nimble and able to really help the adults in his life. And his father died early in an accident, and his mother worked herself into an early grave and kind of passed off to her good friend Cassandra, who is the second person in our Ka-tet. And I had, what I'd written down about her is she really gave herself to the raising and nurture of Trevor. And she instilled in him that your parents, your mother especially, my friend, gave up her, literally gave up her life. So you just, like, pressure anyone, like, put this sense of destiny on his kid, that he has got to be worth it, worth the effort that everybody,
Right.
the community has put in on his behalf. And so her whole deal is her life was given up from an early age to, the nurture and support, and committed to Trevor's success. So it was both a lot of pressure put on him, but it was also, he had this, this surrogate mother figure that was committed to his success in every way. So it was there's great positives and some real hard negatives too.
Right.
But, and I'd written down, actually, before you even started talking, Levi, that she was, one of her things was she was a lore master, and so I see her as kind of a disciple of Gretchen, in the old ways, because just so that's her place. But she is really kind of like, Trevor's career is the thing that matters, and her dreams and hopes are all centered around him. And then the third member of the Ka-tet is Lancaster, and he is one of the Emperor's devoted followers. He is a true believer. He is exactly the kind of person that bought in hook, line, and sinker to the Emperor's rise to power. He is a true believer, and he glommed on to this whole idea of the sporting world, and he became like a promoter in, like, behind the scenes,
Right.
in organizing, getting the different towns to organize their own teams, and to have the competition and the scheduling and the kind of the laying out the fabric of how this all works in this society. And he's the promoter, and oh man, Trevor is just like a promoter's dream for him to, as kind of promoter slash publicist, and kind of like igniting the imagination of the different people to get behind their sports stars and all this. So these are the Cassandra and Lancaster and Trevor are the Ka-tet.
Great. I'm thinking that this whole thing kind of centers around like a World Cup, Super Bowl, World Series style event. It was the World Cup this year. That was fun. Is the World Cup every year?
I'm so American centered,
All I know is the World Cup was in
really
America
know.
this year.
I'm not. and I don't even know how
It-
it works.
Yeah, it could be, but because soccer is kind of like not an American thing, I think it being in America brought like, oh, this is a thing that's going on, and so it gets the news cycle and publicist, and then everybody is seeing it.
Yeah.
But I
It's every
think it
it's every 4
does.
years.
Yeah, that I
Okay.
was
Because
gonna
of
say
qualifying games, teams from all over the world need to go a long time to play matches and qualify. Okay, regardless, I think that that's kind of what we're seeing here is a kind of a gathering, a mixing, because it will constitute a mixing of cultures for the first time in 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, and a sharing
know?
like this is how did you manage coming through the hard times and
Yeah.
and an exchange of ideas and that
Right.
kind of stuff.
And so my thought is that they're trying that the rebellion is trying to organize something to happen for this. They're trying to organize some show of force, something, right? And part of me thinks that the Gretchen has been kind of scared out of her swamp dwelling, of her exile, under kind of a threat. Part of me is thinking that she helped her grandson kind of in his rise to power. And so she is technically a co-conspirator in his thing. And either something about the prophecy, or something happened that she kind of got scared out of her exile, as I'm doing air quotes, exile. And so now she's traveling around, because she's not allowed to go back into hiding, and she's fulfilling something for someone. She's doing something. And so like the tyrant is kind of trying to nail her down and find her because she's a loose end. If she starts talking about how she helped to poison the 10 counselors of the wooden forests, and that's how he was able to consolidate that power. If she starts telling about how she caused this one guy to go blind and therefore he wasn't able to testify. It's like a bunch of his power stuff is centered on her and the things she can do and what she has done for him in the past. And for some reason, he didn't kill her, And so she's kind of like a free agent, She's not working for the rebellion, but she's kind of working for them because she's kind of sowing discord. But she's not working for the tyrant, but she kind of is working for him because if he asked her to do something, she would probably do it. But since it was kind of a shock that she came out into the open, all of a sudden it's like, what's going on? What's going on over here? What's going on over there? What do you guys think about that? And there's some event going on, so people are starting to kind of filter in to the kind of capital city. These teams with kind of maybe some of their families and stuff. And so for the first time, this city is kind of starting to fill up a little bit, and who knows what's going to go on.
I want to develop Terrence a little better. What should we have Terrence's position in the Empire? He has kind of like a job, kind of a base of operations, so to speak. And he's trying to, consolidate power for himself, but yet he's got a stated, what should be his kind of stated position and kind of base?
Like inside the government? Or...
Yeah. Were you thinking of anything? You know what I'm saying? Or how does he play in? Is he associated in any way with the whole sporting thing? I'm trying to think of, how he'd play off, I'm thinking of the promoter, Lancaster, who is neither hero or villain. He is just a blind follower of the Emperor and really excited about this whole, sports thing that his job is to promote.
I would assume he would have a terrible gambling habit.
Oh, Terrence?
So I think maybe...
Yeah. Ooh.
So yeah, maybe that's something he's got going on the side, right? And maybe that's his own kind of grasp at like a battle language. So like winning or losing bets. I mean, that's not necessarily where that would get thrown, but like his own kind of back kind of backroom deal, right?
Right.
Um, and I think he's maybe not overseeing the games, but oversees, because if it's like bread and circus, right? So he kind of oversees like the benevolence of the, whatever. So like if you come to these games, right? He has to make sure that the players are cared for, they have their allotment of food, the kind of like the sideline entertainment for the people. They're kind of kept
Right.
happy. Like
Right. Right.
people who are unhappy get removed quickly, kind of like half security, but half
Hospitality.
like the event hospitality, so
Yeah.
that the image of what's going on here is well liked. There's free food and drink, right? It's like you come here, it's enjoyable. It's like if someone maybe gets too drunk, they're kind of removed, right? So the atmosphere of what's going on stays provided for, and yet catered to have a certain image to anybody that's there,
Right.
right? So if
Right.
anyone was there, they'd always see that everybody's happy and excited. But if they notice that like someone was starting to get a bit too tipsy, they're just not going to see them anymore, right? They're just kind of, removed so that the environment stays, clean and exciting in that
That's
sense.
kind of terrifying because that's kind of what the tyrant himself is doing to the entire world or country or whatever. He's keeping the world kind of locked into like an everlasting present where you can never tell that the passage of time because you don't ever talk to anybody else and your language doesn't develop because nothing changes. So he's doing the same thing except on a micro scale, which is makes sense considering that he has these aspirations to kind of take over the tyrant's work, take over the tyrant's place, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think there should be some kind of Merlin-like character, maybe like a prophet. Maybe he's the one who who proclaimed this. It wasn't really a prophecy. It was more so just like a truth about tyranny and stuff like that.
Yeah, all I wrote down for prophecy actually was that is just the casting off of authority that was what was prophesied,
Right. It's just, it doesn't have to be so many words. It's just like the reality that this can't happen. You can't do this forever.
Right.
My thought is that someone came and scared Gretchen out.
Yeah.
Like scaring up a pheasant.
Yeah.
He like came into the swamps and said something to her, proclaimed something, did something, and so she like fled. And this thing that she's doing, this moving around the country, is not her like trying to scare people. It's her like trying to run away from him because she knows she's not allowed in the capital because like her grandson will probably have her killed. So she kind of stays in the outside areas, but the stories about her start to increase. And I don't know that we ever need really a person to have done this. It could just be something like in the fullness of time, or it could be even something kind of like The Telltale Heart. You guys know The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah.
Do you know that story, Seth?
No. I don't think so.
It's a story about a guy who kills his roommate and then puts him under the floorboards. And then the cops come by to ask him if they've seen him. And he says he hasn't. And he talks to them about how much he hasn't. But he starts to like hear the heartbeat. And he's sure that the cops can hear it. And the cops are just like waiting for him to confess. And his guilt like rides up to a place that he like confesses everything.
Yeah, because he just can't stand it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that where just like the overwhelming reality of everything that she helped him do just finally drives her insane. And so she just like flees and she says that there was a phantom. She says that there was something, but really what it was her conscience, flying after her.
That's
and so
good.
she's just like moving all around and it kind of throws everything into turmoil. But How do we feel about that? That there's going to be like the World Cup, like a big sporting event, and because we still have one more episode that we can do this. We don't need to wrap it up today. But how do we feel about that? Is there anything else you guys want to add? Any other interesting ideas?
I think that's pretty good for the middle. I have a couple ideas. We'll see what we get drawn
Yeah.
for how it might wrap up. But
Awesome.
But that'll have to be saved for next episode.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Wait It Gets Better. If you like this episode, let us know. Send us an email at waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com or message us on Twitter at @getsbettercast. We would happy to hear from you, to listen to you, to talk to you, maybe even to shake your hand. Until next time, don't forget to wait, because it gets better.